talk about a big development that has transpired. Now, changing tack over the Feb 12 circular, the RBI endorses the inter-creditor agreement for the first time. In the hearing at the Supreme Court, RBI says banks could have completed earlier debt recast schemes even beyond Feb 12, and this comes on back of centre's stance of seeking to resolve the financial woes that ail the power sector. Raising concerns over the stringent 180-day deadline, the centre also tells the Supreme Court that the circular must be quashed if need be. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the case and seeks written submissions from parties over the next 10 days. Let's take it across to Mythili Bhusnurmath to get in some more perspective and put things in more perspective at this point in time. Mythili, hi, thank you so much for coming on board. Clearly, it's not a development that any of us had expected. Did the bankers know, firstly, that they could actually go beyond the Feb 12 deadline and continue with their resolution process?
No, well, that is definitely a distinct shift in the RBI's stand, because under the former Governor Urjit Patel, the RBI was very particular that all forms of corporate restructuring stand withdrawn. No S4A, no other kind of restructuring program was possible, and banks would have to live with the Feb 12 circular. So this is certainly a distinct shift. In fact, I would almost call it an about turn, which bankers were completely unaware that the RBI would take a softer view of that. And I would think it's a welcome, pragmatic move, particularly in the case of sectors like power. And I think this is a shift that has happened under the new governor, Shaktikanta Das, who has shown that he is far less rigid and far less of a zealot, if I will put it, when it comes to whether it is interest rates, whether it comes to restructuring. And I think this is very good. I only wonder whether it has come a little late in the day, because many of these power assets, their position would have deteriorated quite a bit since the RBI was so adamant about not allowing any kind of restructuring at all over almost the past 2 years, which is a long time for any asset to be stranded.
Especially when, Shaktikanta Das went on record last month saying that there's no proposal on the table seeking modifications to the Feb 12 circular. And of course, over and above that, there are a lot of articles that I've been reading. It says that, it is clearly in contrast with RBI's previous stand in cases, whether it's the ILFS case in the Madras High Court last year, where RBI argued that if a restructuring scheme had not been implemented before Feb 12th, it became null and void. And even even in the Allahabad court case, for that matter, that took place last year. So what does it show about the RBI? Because clearly it's completely turning around on what the institution itself said about a year or so back.
But it just shows how much of a difference the man at the top can make. And as I said, in the case of the power sector, remember there was a Supreme Court had on that ordered the government and the RBI and the commercial banks, etc., to come together and set up a committee to look into the woes of the power sector and find what is the way forward. And the Reserve Bank under Mr. Patel, Dr. Patel, did not even send a representative to attend the meetings. That was the extent of the RBI's, obstinance or stubbornness or whatever you want to call it. They were not even willing to send a person to attend the meetings called by the Finance Ministry at the behest of the Supreme Court. So clearly this is a welcome shift, and it shows a great deal of pragmatism of the present governor, because remember, regardless of how these assets have been, or the position of these assets and what is the role of the promoters in making them NPA, the fact is that these are valuable assets. We are a country which is in need of power generation. Even if our power generation today is adequate, as development happens, we will need more power. So we need to have a more holistic view rather than a very, tunneled kind of vision, which is what the RBI was taking under Dr. Patel. So in fact, am very happy to hear that there has been this change in stance. Hopefully, the RBI will walk the talk, and we will see some progress, at least as far as power assets are concerned.
The sector has been ailing under a lot of NPA woes and a lot of troubled asset woes for a very long time now. So let's hope there is some, walking the talk that happens with respect to what the RBI stance has now changed to. Thanks, Mythili, for joining us with that update and sharing with us your insights on that.